Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Destiny Kiara, and today I am going to be doing a long-awaited Q&A questions and answers video because it's been a long time. So sit down, get comfortable, and let's have a little chit chat. So a few months ago on my Instagram, if you're not following me on Instagram, go ahead and do that right now. I'm gonna put it somewhere on the screen. Like I was saying, a few months ago, I posted on my Instagram story a questionnaire telling people to ask me questions for a future Q&A video. And today, that is what we're going to be doing. So I have my questions here on my phone. I'm going to be honest. Not that many people ask questions. So, y'all, come here. I'm gonna let it slide this time. But for the future, what would you do if when he said yes would go? No, but what, does it take anything out of you to participate? The next time that I post a story asking for questions, just participate. Be a part of the pomp and circumstance of it all, you know? Just ask a silly question, something. Come on, be a... You know you want to ask a question. Don't lie and act like you not nosy. If you want to know something or if you want advice on something, the next time I post a questionnaire on my story, you need to pop in and ask me a question. Okay. Despite not that many people asking questions, I do feel like the questions that I got are very fruitful and they are not shallow. The questions aren't shallow, and I love that. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so the first question is, how to be not too critical on yourself when you fall into old habits? Okay, so I would say that one of the most important things whenever you are trying to break or kick an old habit is to give yourself grace and compassion. If you find yourself in a position where you are trying to quit a habit and you find yourself falling back into that habit somehow, it's never a good idea to beat yourself up about it. And so that's why I think one of the best things that you can do for yourself is to give yourself that grace and compassion that you truly need in that moment. I think that it's also very helpful to be your own best friend in circumstances like that. And this goes hand in hand with offering grace and compassion, because the thing is, if it wasn't you falling back into an old habit and it was a friend per se, and your friend had fallen back into an old habit or an old way of doing things, you probably wouldn't chastise them, you wouldn't berate them, you wouldn't criticize them, you wouldn't tell them you're so fucking stupid, why are you doing this, you're literally so dumb.
That's a disgrace. She's a disgrace to humanity, and she's a disgrace to women who are actually beautiful and classy.
No, you wouldn't do that. And if you would do that, there's some opportunity for character development, just saying. But generally, you wouldn't talk to a friend that way. And so when you are actively trying to break an old habit and you find yourself falling back into old patterns or old ways of doing things, you have to be your own best friend and talk to yourself the way that you would talk to a friend, which is you would give them that grace, you would give them that compassion and understanding that sometimes things just happen. But just because things happen, it doesn't mean that you should make it a habit. So I say all that to say that if you are actively kicking a habit and you fall back into a pattern, it's also super important to create a game plan. And what I mean by that is figure out what are the things that need to happen, or what are the parameters that you need to have in place so that when you get an urge to participate in an old habit, you are less likely to act on it. Having a game plan is super, super important. It's one of the things that I have had to do in my own journey towards kicking old habits and doing the things that feel the most familiar but are but are maybe but are maybe not the best for me. Creating a game plan will look different for everyone. For example, if you find yourself struggling to reach out to an old ex that you know is not good for you and is not healthy, but you have a habit of when you think about them or you miss them, you want to pick up your phone and reach out to them. Because you know that that is the old habit that you're trying to break, I would say that a good game plan or a good set of parameters to prevent you from engaging in that behavior would be to say to yourself or write down, when I think about my ex, I will do XYZ. And write down a list of at least 5 things, 5 options of things, activities that you can do whenever you have that urge to text your ex. And the things that you come up with don't have to be super grand things. It can be something as simple as listen to an album that you've never listened to before front to back, or call a friend, or even treating yourself to food. Whatever it is, you need a game plan, especially when you are trying to break an old habit. As the saying goes, old habits die hard. And it's true. It's so much easier said than done to break an old habit or a conditioning or something that you're used to, but it is possible. But it never does any good, and it's never productive for you to beat yourself up while you're on that journey of quitting an old habit. You've got to offer yourself grace, compassion, understanding, and come up with a good game plan, girl. Let's get this done, okay? Okay, the next question is, what's been your biggest setback career-wise, and how did you overcome it? Well, hold on, because why you up in my business like that? Cut the cameras. Dead ass. Okay. My biggest setback career-wise, I would have to say, was 3 years ago? No, 4. Yeah, 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I was working for HBO as a production assistant. My role as a production assistant was only temporary. I had gotten the opportunity from the work that I had done with a theater company when I was in high school. But while I was working there, it was a great opportunity for me to connect with other people, network, and truly take advantage of the space that I was in and the opportunities that could come from me being in that kind of environment. The reason why that time was one of the biggest setbacks of my career is because it was during that time, and I think I mentioned this in my return to YouTube video, but it was during that time that I was going through really bad depression, and I was constantly having thoughts of self-harm on a daily basis, and it was just really hard for me to stay present during that time. Granted, I was young during that time, and it was my first time dealing with grief and shame and just trying to figure out who I was and what the kind of person that I truly was, and dealing with all of that at that time was a lot for me, and I was navigating it by myself. And so dealing with that internally, mentally, it made it extremely difficult for me to fully be present in that position that I was in. And like I said, it was a temporary position, so my time there was always going to end regardless of the circumstances or the experiences that I had or the connections that I made with the people that were there. But my point is, for the time that I was there, I had a real opportunity to make some fruitful connections, but I didn't. I had a real opportunity to get to know the ins and outs of the entertainment world, and I didn't really take advantage of it the way that I probably should have, simply because I was super in my head, very depressed. I had very little motivation to live, and it was just extremely difficult for me to get out of bed in the morning, let alone show up and be present for an opportunity like that. And even now, even though this is something that I would consider a setback for me career-wise, everything happens for a reason, and every setback is only to prepare for a comeback, okay? So that was my setback, but everything happens for a reason. I trust in the process. I trust in God and what He has planned for me. And despite that being the case many moons ago, I am in a really good place right now. And even though I'm still not in the career that I would like to be in, I know that I'm on my way there. And that's what matters. Okay, the next question is tips for being consistent with self-discipline. I really like this question, and I will have a video coming up on not so much tips for self-discipline, but I feel that when you're struggling with self-discipline, it's typically because you're feeling stuck or stagnant. So there will be a video soon on how to get unstuck. But tips for being consistent with self-discipline. You have to have a why. You need to have a why whenever you are trying to be disciplined in anything, whatever it is, whether it's music, going to the gym, dating, reading, anything. You need to have a why. If you don't have a why, you're always going to fall off and you're never going to stick it through or stick it out. And it has to be a good why. I'm going to give you an example. Across social media, I have noticed lots of videos where people are in the gym and the caption will say something along the lines of, when you don't feel like going to the gym but you remember how he left you, when you've been on the Stairmaster for 10 minutes but you remember that you're gonna be the one that got away. And in regards to videos like that, it's clear that the why for going to the gym is not for that person. It's not for them. It's for someone else. And that is an example of a terrible why. If your why for why you're doing something revolves around someone else or something else, you're never gonna stick it through. It has to be for you. Going to the gym has to be for you. Going on dates to try to find a partner has to be for you. Picking up a new hobby has to be for you. It can't be for anyone else. You need a good why, and it needs to be sturdy and it needs to be rooted in something that is not shallow. Going back to the example that I just used about people being in the gym not for themselves but to impress other people or to get revenge on other people or to prove something to other people. The thing is, babes, the relationship didn't end because you didn't have the fattest ass. The relationship didn't end because you didn't look good. The relationship ended because it just wasn't a good fit. And I know that's not what we want to hear, but that's the truth. And this is a truth-telling channel. So yeah, if you really truly think and you are letting the motivation for you going to the gym be changing the way that you look physically so that someone will then see you and regret a choice that they made and want to be with you, that is not going to keep you consistent, because like I just said, that man or that woman is not with you not because of the way that you look. They're not with you because it didn't work out. So you may very well be in the gym getting your body right. That's a great thing. But if your why is for a certain outcome, what are you going to do when that outcome doesn't happen? Go ahead, I'll wait. And the thing is, they're not coming back. So you can't let getting revenge or making someone regret what they lost be your why. You have to go to the gym for you. And in the event that you do get that body right and the body's tea and they do come back, you don't want that anyway. Because if someone's coming back to you simply on the principle of physical appearance, it's really shallow. And I don't believe that you watching this video want a relationship that is shallow. So yeah, one of the most important things for having self-discipline is having a good why. If you're going to pick up a new hobby, don't do it because you're trying to impress Jake. Who is Jake? Pick up that hobby because you want to pick up that hobby. Pick up that hobby because you want to be smarter and you want to learn something new. Go to the gym because you want to start having healthier habits in your life. Go to the gym because Your body deserves movement, and your body takes care of you every day. So you want to take care of your body. Have a good why. Root your why in something that is internal, never external. And I promise you, if your why is a really good why, then you will stick to whatever it is that you're doing. And sometimes you still may fall off. That happens. It's like riding a bike. You fall off and you get back up. But you'll keep at it because it's something you're doing for you. It's something that's important to you, and it has nothing to do with Tom, Dick, and Harry. And if you have a really good why, it's something that you'll always be able to come back to, especially in those moments where you're feeling doubtful or you're feeling like, what's the point? Why am I doing this? I don't even know why I'm doing this. I'm not going to succeed. I'm not going to get anywhere anyway. Having that really, really good why. And if you got to write it down, put it up in your room somewhere. That way, whenever you find yourself feeling doubtful or like you're about to quit or it doesn't make sense why you're doing it, you can come back to that why and say, oh yeah, this is why I started reading, so that I can be smarter. This is why I started crocheting, because I don't know, because I want to do something good with my hands. Generally, I believe that whatever you decide your why to be, it should meet 3 criteria. It should either make you better as a person. It should make you feel better in some type of capacity that is healthy, or is contributing to your sense of security and knowledge of self or the world around you. All of those 3 things are great places to start, I believe, if you are actively trying to come up with a why for why you are doing something. The next tip that I would give for self-discipline is simply to keep at it. No matter how many times you fall, get back up every single time. I feel like this question kind of goes hand in hand with the first question that I answered. Like I said, it's really hard to kick a bad habit, and it can also be very hard to start and keep a new habit. I think it's something like it takes 21 days to kick an old habit, and it takes 14 to start a new one. I'm probably getting that wrong, but regardless, it takes time to quit an old habit, and it takes time to pick up a new habit and keep at it. So with that being said, the next tip that I could give for being disciplined in anything, especially disciplined within yourself, is just to keep at it. And like I said, no matter how many times you fall down, fall off, or make a mistake, or go back to doing something the old way, this is where self-awareness truly becomes important. Because for every time that you fall off, you need to, babe, you got to get yourself in check. You got to say, self, okay, we did that. And I know that's the thing that we are trying not to do. So how are we gonna come back from this? How are we going to move on from that? I think that reparenting yourself is also a huge part of having self-discipline. For myself personally, one of the hardest things that I have had to learn how to do within the past 2 years is to shield my younger self from the things that I know are going to hurt her, but are also the things that she deeply feels like she needs. And I'm not going to get into the details and the semantics of what those things are in this video, but being able to do that for yourself is a large part of what it means to have self-discipline. It's not easy. I'm not going to sit here and say that it is easy. It has taken me years, and it's something that I'm still working at to this day. But again, it is possible. All things are possible. And I also believe that the more you learn about yourself, the easier it will become to enforce discipline within yourself. Alrighty, those are all the questions that I have for today. I really enjoyed answering these questions, and so I will do future Q&A videos. But like I said, make sure you're following me on Instagram so that the next time I do another Q&A, you can be a part of it. Don't forget to like this video, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!